Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you and how you be. William Haynes here, you there, here on this Friday night at 9:56. The William Haynes Show, as always, live from the WHBC studio in Tallahassee, Florida. So much to discuss tonight. We'll lead off with a Rays postgame. They win 6-4 over the Phillies, get win number 38. So 40-win season is still in play if they win on Saturday and Sunday. It's not going to be easy, though, going up against Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. And also, if you're thinking about the Rays potentially getting the number one seed, well, the magic number, is down to 1. So another Rays win over the course of this weekend, or one more Athletics loss. The A's are playing the Mariners as we speak, and we'll keep an eye on that contest as that goes along. So, and before we do anything else, just wanted to let you know that we're taking all of your phone calls. Everyone listening to the program, you want to get on and talk Rays, you want to talk Lightning, even Bucks. So much in this Tampa Bay late-night sports talk radio show that is the William Haynes Show. The number to call, 877-566-1020. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We'll probably take a break at around 10:20. But until then, Rays postgame does come first. And really, really exciting contest all around, I think. It was the final tune-up of the season for Charlie Morton. I'm not quite sure exactly what to think of it. He goes 5 innings, giving up 3 earned runs on 7 hits. Walks a single man, so that's good to keep that number down. Strikes out 8. His ERA, wow, is about 4.74 right now. He threw 93 pitches, 64 of which were for strikes. So the control, I think, was there. And you want to talk about first pitch to batters faced ratio. He faced 22 men and threw a first pitch strike to 15 of them. And I apologize for interrupting, but the Lightning score with about a minute left in the second period to tie that game at 3. That's game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Tampa Bay leads 2-1, so they could vanquish the and get the cup as soon as Saturday night. So a lot of interesting things to talk about, and what a Monday that would be to preview, I guess, the Rays playoff matchup. It looks like it's going to be the Blue Jays at this point. I'm fairly certain. And then maybe a Lightning Cup, and who knows? The Bucks could be in first place in the NFC South. So so much great things. But returning back to Rays, Morton. And he started out very sharp as well. I think the one thing that's very concerning, I guess is a little bit relative. It's whatever your outlook is on it. I don't know, man. he kind of waned off as the start went on. Same with Philly starter Vince Velasquez. We have guys like Tyler Glasnow who seem like they get better as their start goes on. With Charlie Morton tonight, it seemed like he just kind of, his stuff just didn't have as much bite to it. I know he was throwing 95, 96 occasionally on the fastball, and that was good to see his velocity get back up, because if you recall at the beginning of the season, he was like a 92, 93 mile an hour guy. And who knows, in a big spot in the postseason, he can maybe eke out 97. So the velocity is still there at age 36. Potential final ride for him. I mean, he in his career, he may only have maybe 3 or 4 starts. Who knows? A decent, I think, final tune-up for him as he collects a no decision. A scoreless inning from Oliver Drake. Same with Ryan Thompson. Nick Anderson gets the win. It just happened to be on the mound when the tie was broken, but a pretty interesting inning. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And John Curtis locking it up, striking out the side in the 9th to collect the save. So that was very cool to see as well. And for the lineup, at the top, Joey Wendell, man, you got to give him game MVP. He made an incredible defensive play in the 8th and then had the game-winning hit, a 2 RBI single. So that was really fun to see. Randy Arozarena collects 2 hits. I'm looking down. A lot of guys just getting up a couple of hits. Brett Phillips, he goes 2 for 2 with 2 walks. But he benefited from some, I guess, to be nice, iffy calls by the home plate ump, including one where he basically took strike 3. It was a fastball up and in, and then hit a home run to tie the game. That would have been at 3, I believe. It was to tie the game at 4, actually. So, but he gets on base all 4 times. His average is now above 200 at 208. That was also his first home run as a Ray, his second of the season. You wonder, with Austin Meadows being out, maybe where he plays in the outfield. And also of note, I think, I forgot to mention this when the night that they clinched the division in Citi Field, because obviously that talk kind of took precedent, but Hunter Renfroe in that game, the last game that the Rays played, that would have been on Wednesday, he played the 9th and final inning of the game at first base. He came down, I think, from right field and played first, and then tonight, he played all 9 innings at first base, and I would say it looked relatively okay over there. There was some things that, there would be a ground ball to him at first, and instead of running to the bag himself, he liked to kind of have the pitcher come over to the bag and flip it to him. So it makes sense that they're doing this now, because that opens things up for postseason, and it's all about flexibility and versatility and all those kinds of things. Cash had mentioned that it was... with the Yandy Diaz thing, I guess he kind of fits that archetype as a power right bat that can play first base. I don't know really how much they're going to go to it on the postseason. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have G-Man Choi back. Yandy Diaz will come back. So I don't know how much this really means for playoffs. I mean, we're seeing some things that they're doing with the pitching staff and things along those lines. I'm not quite sure how much is going to come into play, but you have these kind of a couple games to play with. It looks like they're definitely going to have the number 1 seed, so who knows how much the next 2 games really mean. I mean, get 40 wins, fine. They're already going to secure the highest winning percentage in a season in team history by a mile, so whatever. But he's an option there. But again, it looks like G-Man Choi and Yandy Diaz, if they're not back for the 3-game set that's starting next Tuesday, they'll be back probably for the ALDS, because there's I believe a 3-day layover for them to get into the bubble and get over to either San Diego or Los Angeles, wherever they'll end up playing. So interesting stuff there. Also got a note from Mark Tompkin. This is as a couple of minutes ago. John Curtis will start tomorrow. So I don't love that, if only just because the last time that happened, and what I mean by that, a player save a game and start the next day, that was Andrew Kittredge, if you recall, in that 4-game sweep in Boston. He only made it like about a batter in, and he had to have Tommy John surgery. So hopefully John Curtis doesn't suffer the same thing. Pitching, I mean, he's going to have basically 14 odd hours of rest, something along those lines. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But he'll open. It looks like it'll be Josh Fleming, or I think actually no. Ryan Yarbrough is slated to go tomorrow against Zach Wheeler. So Makes sense to have Yarbrough. He's going to be there's no way, at least in my opinion, that he starts outright in the postseason. So get him used to kind of playing behind the opener or coming out of the bullpen or whatever. He did that a lot in the playoffs last year, so he should be fine in that regard. A couple other notes. They go 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position, so a little bit better, I guess, than they do normally. Leave a total of 8 men on base. It looks like they also they get another stolen base. It was a Rosarena's 4th, but that was it. I know they were doing a lot of stuff on the base path to try and irritate Vince Velasquez and things like that. And just wanted to let you guys know as well, you can call the show at 877-566-1020. We're taking calls for about another hour or so. You want to talk Rays, Bucks, or Lightning. Again, the number to call, we're taking them right now, 877-566-1020. And if we don't have any roll in, I'll continue on with Rays postgame. The defense, the way it aligned the outfield from left to right, it was a Rosarena in left. In center, to start off the game, Kevin Kiermaier, Brett Phillips in right. In the infield from third to first, it was Mike Brasso at third. We actually have a call coming in right now, so we're going to actually head to that. And we have someone calling in the William Haynes Show. I believe a first-time caller. Who are we speaking to?
Yeah, first-time caller. This is Sendix Bunny.
All right, thanks for calling in.
My name.
What can you say tonight?
I just heard you on the show say you don't really feel Yarbrough's going to start in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way they handled it last year, and I don't really think they've seen anything too much better over the course of this year to do anything different. Do you think otherwise?
Yeah, I think a little otherwise. I think he's going deeper into games. I feel like maybe the opener role, if that's what you expect, that would be a fair assessment for him to still go 4 or 5 innings per start and basically be in the rotation, just maybe not get the start. But I really do feel like he's going to have a spot in the rotation at least. Yeah, I think we could. We could go with a 4-man rotation solidly, though. Even though you're not going to have the off days, but with Sleggers and Fleming potentially being long guys, you can cheat with that 5th day with a bullpen day and use maybe both of them if they don't get used at other pen that much.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with that, and you're right about the no off days. I mean, playing a 5-game set in 5 days, things like that. The rotation is going to be a little bit different, and maybe for that reason they will have to start Yarbrough outright. I just think they'd rather have a John Curtis type just open the first inning and get the first 3 hitters out, but maybe they'll give him the chance. And another thing, the fact that they're going to have him go behind an opener tomorrow, that just tells me where Kevin Cash's head is at. So, right or not, it looks like that's the direction they're in with Yarbs right now.
All right, I can see that. With the postseason roster, do you feel that they will go balanced with 14 hitters, 14 pitchers, or maybe a few more position players, get the third catcher on the roster?
I would actually see them, unless there's a rule against it, I think they're going to try and add a couple more pitchers if they can. We've seen what they're doing with the versatility. Guys like a Rosarena has been playing a little bit of second base, I guess, in practice, things like that. Renfroe playing first base. They got a lot of guys like Brasso and Wendell that can play across the infield. So I think they're going to try and use that to their advantage, and that would allow them to have a couple more pitchers. There's a lot of guys that I guess are hard to leave out. You mentioned Aaron Sleggers. He was a guy that I was kind of on the border on, the last few days, but I think he provides a lot of value in length, so they're going to want guys like that. If they're going to, a guy like Yarbrough, if he can only give maybe 4 innings or so in a start, you got to have a lot of guys behind him. So I would actually imagine they're going to maybe go with the 28, maybe go 16 pitchers and, 12 position players. They're only going to have 2 catchers, I would think, to be honest with you. But that could vary series to series as well.
Yeah, if they go with a 4-man rotation and maybe a bullpen day on the 5th day if they need it, I just don't see 14 guys you can trust going into the postseason. At the most, if you go 14, you're going to have Thompson. Who are the other 2 pitchers we would even have? Would we be calling up McClanahan?
Yeah, McClanahan and Brent Honeywell, they were added to the 40-man so that way they could be eligible for postseason play. There when they dropped tonight. I could see that potentially coming into play.
Without any regular season experience, I mean, you're basically throwing them into the fire in the postseason against what are probably going to be the better half of the hitting cores of the American League.
And
I
that's
really see them going 13 pitchers because with how condensed it is, you're not going to really want to carry a whole lot of dead weight, and you're going to be able to use guys multiple days. You're not going to have to give them as much rest out of the pen, I don't feel. So the 13 I feel might make it as pitchers would be, of course, Snell, Glasnow, Morton, Yarbrough, two long guys, Fleming, Slaggers, and then you go Anderson, Fairbanks, Castillo, Loop, Curtis, Drake, and Sheriff or Thompson. But I think Sheriff gives you a left-hand option if you really want to get in those one-out situations, even though there's a three-batter rule now.
yeah,
And then I would probably see them go three catchers. The only thing that concerns me, I get this is a bit of a joke wherever I talk about it. We only have two guys who can legitimately be shortstops, and that limits how you can use Wendell. Like, you can't really use him as a pinch hitter and then take him out. Once he's in the game, you got to keep him in case of an emergency.
That's exactly right. Yeah, very fair. I don't understand why. I mean, if Brasso can't play shortstop, I get it, but I don't understand why they don't at least try and get him work over there, stuff like that. Because you're right. And
I'd like to see some work, but he only has 12 career minor league starts there, and that's sparsely throughout a 5-year minor league career. He had 6 starts there in Durham, but from what I've heard, it wasn't very pretty there.
Gotcha.
He's mostly
Okay.
an offensive infielder, but I like him at third base. I always envision him as kind of a right-handed Eric Sogard.
Yeah, that's a good call. A guy that can hit a lot with contact and a good on-base guy. I think he's really kind of transformed his game and came over and started playing a lot of first base this year, so he gives you some versatility as well. I got to ask you, with the 3 catchers, I would imagine your mindset is you're just going to want to pinch hit for catchers, so that's why you want to have 3?
Yeah, exactly, because I just don't trust Juninho or Perez. Perez was a decent hitter the past 2 years in his limited time, but this year it's just not been pretty with either of them. Kevon Smith has looked average, but yet again, how many plate appearances are we talking about? Not a whole lot. So I don't even know if you can really trust him. I would like to give him some work just so we can know how well we can trust him as a hitter in pitching scenarios.
Yeah,
and then you have it's just we got a lot of infield options, I feel. In fact, to the detriment where we might not even need 4 or 5 outfielders.
Yeah, that's true, too. And you got guys, I know he hasn't this year, but I know Joey Wendell can play the corners, as can Brandon Lau. I know he started out off the season, I think, in right field until Austin Meadows could come back. So you're right, they've got versatility there as well. Yeah.
I think he did play a game in left field.
Yeah, so they've got guys. I mean, for outfield, for me, I would have, obviously, Kiermaier. I would have Margot, too, because I like him with his ability to bunt and also steal bases. I think that's going to come up big. I would honestly have a Rosarena, and then I guess maybe you throw Setsugo in there as well. That gets you to 4, and I think that would be enough. And then you leave Brett Phillips and Renfroe off, although I know Brett Phillips is a guy I know, like a Johnny Davis type from last year, they would love to have maybe just as a pinch runner.
Yeah, and I think this series might be a good audition for him. I kind of see Sasugo because he can play third base. I just kind of list him as an infielder.
Okay.
But, so I have him on the roster. Of course, Kiermaier, of course, Rosarena, Margot, and I feel this series is going to be the decision of whether or not we go Phillips or Renfroe.
I see.
And
Yeah.
I could honestly leave either of them off.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And two totally different.
Get healthy. If we make a deep run, if either Phillips or Renfroe are even on the roster, they're the ones that get auctioned out at the end of the series, obviously, because you can't really make that decision between series.
Yeah, it looks like with Meadows, I mean, there wasn't too optimistic. I guess best case scenario would be World Series, but even then we don't know. I personally wouldn't plan on seeing Meadows, and they've got plenty of outfielders to do, to work around that.
Yeah, as I said, that would require a deep run like Cash said. We would have to play really well to see Meadows again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the quote.
I get that he hasn't done well this year, but he's got last year in him somewhere. He's got that streak in him. But with the middle infield, you have Brandon Lau, you have Willie Adames, you have Wendell, you have Brasso, if you list him as that, because he can play second base. I think it's ugly watching him there, because I always like him more as a third baseman, but he gives you the ability to play second base, whether or not it's pretty or not. It gets the job done.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd imagine Brandon Lau is probably going to play nearly every game at second base, unless he's, I guess, playing the corners.
Mm-hmm. Or if you just want to get... I just feel that we like to do righty-heavy lineups, so we're going to want at least 7 righties in certain lineups and at least 7 lefties in the alternative.
Yeah, I would imagine probably a little bit less extreme than in the regular season. Like, obviously, we're not going to see like a 9 lefty or a 9 righty lineup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 7-3 split or the 7-2 split, I mean, that would work out.
Yeah. So, I made a little list on that, but it's been fun to look at it. But yeah, I feel like I've taken up too much of your time, man.
Oh, no, that's fine. It was a great call. I appreciate it.
It's been fun. I might call again.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be on after all the playoff games. It's going to be a fun ride. So thanks again for calling in. It was good to have you on.
Good having you on too, sir.
All right. And that was the man that goes by Sendix Bunny. I saw him on the Rays Discord, so there you go. That's what he goes by. It was good to have you on if you're still listening. I appreciate you calling in. And anyone else may be listening right now, if you want to call in and talk more Rays baseball, the number is 877-566-1020. Continuing on with our Rays postgame show, Rays 6-4 over the Phillies. I was in the middle giving you the lineup. I'll give it to you again. In the outfield from left to right, it was Arozarena in left, Kiermaier in center, Brett Phillips in right. In the infield from third to first, it was Brasso at third, Adames at short, Joey Wendell at second base, and playing first was Hunter Renfroe, his first career start ever, like high school, minor leagues, nothing. Finally gets an opportunity, I guess, to play first base, and looked all right over there. it was actually Mike Zunino, the catcher, and the DH of Nate Lowe. And the way the lineup was structured, Joey Wendell led off, which I really like. I think is a better leadoff guy than Tsutsugo, to be completely honest with you, followed by Arozarena and Lowe. Adames cleaned up. I'm not quite sure if we'll see that a lot more, but there you go. You get it there. Kiermaier batted 5th, Brasso 6th, and a 7-8-9 of Renfroe, Phillips, and Zunino. I like the way that lineup is structured. Okay, it was strange to see Kiermaier certainly hit 5th. We don't see that a whole lot, and I think that especially over the course of the next 2 days, Cash can just kind of shake it up. The caller that we just had on mentioned it's really going to be an audition for both Renfroe and Brett Phillips, and maybe however they want to handle the catcher situation. They're going to get everything solidified, and it helps the way this year that they clinched so much earlier than last year, because it was the last Friday that had that Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against the Blue Jays, and they didn't clinch a playoff spot, period, until Friday night. So that gave them just basically just pretty rough hangover games, to be totally honest, on Saturday and Sunday to get their stuff together. I remember Yandy Diaz hit a double after being on the injured list for a couple months, and that gave Cash enough faith to put him in the leadoff spot during the wild card game, and of course the rest was history from there. Not quite sure we're going to quite see a story like that again, but I guess maybe really another repeat for Yandy Diaz, because it looks like he could be coming back just right in time, for the postseason. So that would be cool to see. And G-Man Choi as well. I think those two guys completely change the outlook of the lineup. Choi with just his ability to hit in big moments, and then Yandy Diaz, he sees a lot of pitches per at bat. He's changed his game a little bit, walks a ton, and we haven't really seen much enough of the power. He's only got maybe a couple home runs to his name this year, but a guy that's obviously proven in that department. And then just another tweet that I saw from Mark Tompkin. I just wanted to throw this out there, and we covered this a little bit. Rays Brett Phillips, the quote, he said, "I feel like the luckiest man to be traded to hometown Rays and headed to the postseason." So he was with the Royals earlier this year, and he came up with them. The Rays send infield prospect Vidal Brujan to the Royals to get that trade done. And when that trade was made, I had mentioned that was probably the long-term replacement for Kevin Kiermaier, because I think they're going to be looking to maybe trade him as early as this offseason. So Brett Phillips says look good. He seems like kind of one of those, like a good maybe clubhouse type. The fans, well, not the fans, but I mean the teammates love him. Everyone in the organization, stuff like that. And he played high school baseball about 15 or 20 minutes up the road from the Trop. So I would imagine probably grew up a Rays fan. So a cool story for that. You always love to have guys that take pride in being a Ray. I mean, you think guys like Evan Longoria, who maybe throw a little bit of shade at the fan base after he left for San Francisco in the trade, and with Tommy Pham, a pretty bold move, if you ask me, while still a member of the Rays, to basically criticize the fans for not coming to more of the games. So to have a guy like Phillips and really take pride in being a Ray, I think is a good story. So, and he had a good game tonight, his first home run again as a Ray. So I pretty much covered everything from that standpoint. We'll do inning by inning, and then we'll take a break after that and take more of your calls and talk Lightning. And now as the third period is underway, they're tied at 3. And then at the end of the show, we'll preview the Bucs game on Sunday. They're at Denver. Sneak peek. I mean, they're going to win that game. I have confidence in. So top of the first with Morton on the mound, he gets McCutchen and Bohm. Then he walks Harper. It was tough. He started him out 0-2, and then some fastballs that missed, was working him inside and out. Really curveballs in. It looked like fastballs outside, or the other way around because it was a lefty. But and then gets Real Muto to ground out to end the inning. So a base runner. It was about 20 pitches for him. Bottom of the first, Vince Velasquez gets an easy 1-2-3. Wendell, Arozarena, and Lowe. Top of the second, Morton gets a 1-2-3 of his own, and actually strikes out the side. Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, and Jay Bruce. So those are some pretty good hitters, and he strikes out the side. And again, he was establishing a pretty good fastball at around 94, 95, touched 96 a handful of times. So that's good to see, and he's worked all the way up. He's not going to throw more than 100 pitches in a game. I think the outlook for him is can you get 5 innings, and 100 pitches? That's what we're going to get. Probably 10 strikeouts and maybe a run or 2 allowed. So that's no different than what he gave you in the playoffs last year, and that was good enough for him to record 2 wins in elimination games. So more of the same of that would be certainly a good thing. But to bottom of the second, the Rays did some damage, including they struck first in this game. Adames grounds out, then Kiermaier singles, Brasso walks, and during that at bat, Vince Velasquez probably threw over to first base where Kiermaier was at like 100 times, and he was so distracted he couldn't really throw strikes to Brasso, so he walks first and second, 1 out. Renfroe with men on base, that's really been the thing with him. I am not a Renfroe guy right now. He strikes out with a couple men on base, and then more than 2-out Rays action. Brett Phillips comes through for the first time in this game. Singles that scores Kiermaier. Brasso heads over to second, so you reset it basically first and second with 2 outs. Zunino gets hit by a pitch to load the bases on a first pitch fastball that runs in, and then Wendell grounds out to first, but he would come back in a big spot later with runners in scoring position, but he recorded an out with the bases loaded in that spot. Top of the third with Morton again still on. He gets napped to ground out. Kingery singles. McCutchen moves him over with the ground out, so some 2-out action for the Phils. Kingery gets over to third base on a wild pitch, so they've got the tying run 90 feet away with just an out, and then Bohm singles him in, and then Harper triples to right, a throwing error. I guess they charge it to Adames over to third base, was allowed him to get home. So I guess the Little League home run, whatever you want to call it, they made it 3-1, and then he retired Real Muto to end the inning and threw a lot of pitches. The Bohm at bat was 7 pitches. The Harper at bat was only 3, but I mean, I don't know. Like I said, he kind of waned off as the start went on, which you don't like to see. Again, he's an older guy, 36 years old. That stuff's going to happen. He's not a Tyler Glass now that will like seemingly somehow throw harder as the start goes on. And he made a lot of mistakes. Just the pitches that got too much of the plate or whatever, or maybe breaking balls, they didn't break as much as you want them to. The fastball, I was fine with. The cutter, for the most part, was okay. The curveball, to me, was concerning. He racked up the strikeouts for sure, but too many that were just kind of hung over the middle, and that was the pitch that, or I'm sorry, they have it recorded that it was a cutter that Harper tripled off of, but the curveball was getting a lot of action as well. It was the RBI single for Bohm that came on a curveball. So again, bottom of the third, it was 3-1 Phils, and they're fighting for their playoff lives at this point in the season. The Rays don't do anything. They get a man on, but that's it. Arozarena with a leadoff single. Lau strikes out. Adames strikes out. Arozarena does steal second, gets all the way over to third on a throwing error. So they have a run 90 feet away, but then Kiermaier grounds out to leave him there. Top of the fourth, Morton with another 1-2. Well, actually not 1. Well, 3 up and 3 down, I suppose. Gregorius singles. Segura strikes out. And then Gregorius is caught stealing, so the double play, strike him out, throw him out, and then strikes out Jay Bruce to end the inning. Bottom of the fourth, Brasso flies out. Renfroe flies out. Phillips working the 2-out walk, and Zunino strikes out to leave him at first. Top of the fifth we go. Morton working some more, earned run ball, however you want to say it. Knapp strikes out. Kingery hits a ground rule double. McCutcheon strikes out, so some 2-out action. Bohm again singles first and third with 2 outs and a 2-run lead. And then Bryce Harper singles and scores Kingery to make it 4-1. And then Real Muto grounds out. So Harper doing some damage. We haven't seen him since, 2018? Bottom of the fifth, and the Rays finally get back on the board for the first time in a while. Wendell reaches on an infield single. It was all hustle for Wendell, and that's what makes him so great, and came through in a big way defensively later in the game. Then a Arozarena doubles, so they've got second and third with nobody out. Big situation. Nate Lowe strikes out, but then Adames, a cue shot off the bat, was a slider away, and we see him strike out on that pitch more than seemingly anyone on the team. And you see why he swings at him, because he thinks he can make contact. He does that time, and it's a single, so that makes it 4-2. Vince Velasquez comes out, so he only gets 4 1/3 in this game. And then Kiermaier with a ground out, but it scores Arozarena. Adames, the tying run, is standing at second base. They pinch hit Setsugo, or he comes in basically to pinch it for Brasso, I should say, and he flies out. It was a deep fly out, though. It was a sinker that kind of ran in, or actually ran away from the lefty, and he got a pretty good piece of it. Maybe a different park would have gone out, but they leave the tying run at second base at the end of 5. It was 4-3 Philadelphia. Yoshi comes in to play third base, taking over basically for Brasso. And then Oliver Drake comes on, so Charlie Morton's day was done. It was, 4 earned runs on 7 hits for him. 5 innings, not too bad, but not great again, as we said. More contact made off of him than you would have liked, but so be it. I think if that's what they get in the postseason, that's what you're going to get. 5 innings, I should say, of hopefully just 1 or 2 runs, but who knows how that's going to go. He's slated for the best of 3 at the Trop to pitch Game 3 if there is one, but hopefully they can maybe get the 2-game sweep with Blake Snell in Game 1 and Glasnow in Game 2, likely against the Blue Jays. So we'll keep our eye on how that ends up shaking out. It looks like the Rays are going to have the 1 seed no matter what, but Oliver Drake comes on in the 6th, gets a relatively easy inning, retires Gregorius and Segura, walks Bruce, but then gets Knapp to ground out. Bottom of the 6th, it was the Rays finally tie it. Renfroe strikes out, but then Brett Phillips, 422 feet to center, makes it 4-4. And then it was Hunter for the Phillies, retiring Zunino and Wendell. Top of the 7th, Ryan Thompson gets a 1-2-3. Kingery, McCutcheon, and Bohm, so the bullpen was doing some big things tonight, and I guess their final tune-ups in a way as well. Bottom of the 7th, 1-2-3 for the Rays. They strike out the side. Rosarena, Lowe, and Adames all strike out swinging. Top of the 8th, Nick Anderson comes on to get the big outs, and it makes sense. You bring him on in that spot, even in a tie game. I get it. Gets Harper to ground out, Real Muto to fly out, and it looked like pretty routine. But then he walks Gregorius. Yeah, he had him 1-2, but then threw him 3 balls. So that was just couldn't find location on the fastballs. Gregorius refused to chase, so he walks. And then Gene Segura in a 3-1 count pops out. So that inning could have gone a little bit haywire. A guy like Nick Anderson, he's so automatic that he gives up a base runner in an inning, and you're like, what's wrong with him? What's going on? So part of what makes him so great as well with him being automatic is those 10-pitch innings that allow you to use him on back-to-back days. They've been very fragile kind of with him. But I think like that best of 3, if it goes 3, he's obviously going to pitch an inning in all 3 games. And then in that best of 5, if they make it, you got to believe that he's probably going to pitch all 5 of those games in 5 days. They may not be comfortable doing that, but I think it gives you the best chance to win. He's, in my opinion, at least one of the team MVPs. So he gets the scoreless inning in the 8th and keeps the game tied. Bottom of the 8th, Margot pinch hits for Kevin Kiermaier, and he lines out. Tsutsugo singles, Renfroe walks first and second with 1 out. Then Phillips walks to load the bases, and they make a pitching change. They bring in a righty to face a Zunino, but then they pinch hit him for Brandon Lau. So you think, yeah, the hero certainly tonight. He got the Tampa Bay writers for the Baseball Writers Association of America. They voted Brandon Lau team MVP just a year after he gets most improved or best rookie, I believe. The best rookie this year was Pete Fairbanks, which you kind of forget he is a rookie, but I guess can't really argue with that. Rosarena, another guy that's up there potentially, and it was Kevin Kiermaier for the best leader. So those all make sense. But yeah, Brandon Lau on the same day had a potential to get the game-winning hit. He does not. He pops out in the pinch hit situation. But then you go back to the top of the order, and it was Joey Wendell who singled to right that scored Renfroe and Tsutsugo. That made it 6-4, and Rosarena left Phillips at third. So they had a chance to add on a little bit more, but it was Wendell getting the game-winning hit. And I forgot to mention it in the top of the 8th when it was Gregorius on first with 2 outs, and Segura popped up a 3-1 pitch. That was a play where it was too shallow for the right fielder Phillips, but it was really too far out for maybe Joey Wendell to get it. But Joey Wendell he runs really fast with the kind. I don't know, man. He's a great player. Hustle all the time. Makes a nice running catch. It almost popped out of his glove, to be honest with you, and that was good that he made the catch and gets the game-winning hit in the 8th. Sorry, I was a little distracted because the Lightning take the lead about midway through the 3rd period. They're up 4-3. A win here would give them a 3-1 lead. It was Alex Killorn with the goal, so keeping you updated on that. And then the Rays only needing 3 more outs. They make some substitutions. Margot and right. Michael Perez catching. Phillips in center field as they pinch hit. Make some pinch hits. And then Brandon Lau actually at first base. I kind of forgot about that. That was weird to see him play first. Doesn't do that too much. Getting just, I guess, all-around experience. And it was John Curtis coming in and striking out the side. Jay Bruce, Knapp, and Kingery. So that was cool to see as well. A strike out the side save. So all good stuff there. You want to talk takeaways, really, I guess. What you can say about Charlie Morton in his final tune-up, he's pretty much in playoff form. I didn't like how much contact the Phils got off of him, but give them credit, I guess, for having a good lineup as well. 7 hits and just the walk, so 8 total base runners over 5 innings, not great. Did strike out 8. The curveball, not his best pitch, but the cutter and fastball was working relatively well, I'll say. And then the bullpen was electric. Oliver Drake, who had the rough game, on Wednesday against the Mets, had made Nick Anderson come in to get the final out. He pitched a 1-2-3 innings. So that was good. Got to get him in that direction as a guy that can give you an inning in the playoffs. Ryan Thompson doing more of the same, a 1-2-3 inning. Obviously, Nick Anderson doing what he does, and John Curtis striking out the side in the ninth to get the save. He's got an ERA of 1.85, and he's going to start tomorrow before giving way to Ryan Yarbrough. And we had an interesting conversation with a caller earlier. I understand a lot of people are high on Yarbrough this year, and they like him a lot. I do too, to an extent. I've watched him, obviously, I'm sure you guys have too, since 2018 when he came up and goes 18-5 as a rookie, only pitching behind an opener. They didn't let him start outright until 2019. And he's a guy that is crafty. He gets outs early in counts. It's those kind of things that make him great. He goes 8 2/3 against the Mariners and things like that. He can go 7 against a team like the Orioles. He'll eat up those kind of weak lineups. But if you're telling me you're playing the Yankees and you've got Judge, Stanton, Sanchez, Torres, Voit, I don't really want Yarbrough just going out there unprotected like that. At least have the opener to get the top 3 hitters out. So at least Yarbrough doesn't have to face maybe Judge and Stanton, 3 times through or whatever the case is. So that's just my outlook on it. Cash Yarbrough has the ability to do both, but I've seen Yarbrough's pitch these last couple times out behind an opener, and all that tells me is just where Kevin Cash's head Cash's head is at. Pardon me. So. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. He won't pitch in the best of 3 probably. I mean, I guess if they like an emergency, like bulk relief, but I think they like Josh Fleming and Sleggers in that role. But who knows where Yarbrough might be used, because they're going to have the 3 days off before the best of 5. But I would imagine, well, scratch that. It's all going to kind of reset a bit. But in fact, Yarbrough may start game 1 of the ALDS if they make it there. So who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I'm getting a little mixed up with my days there, but you get the point. And with the lineup, missing kind of the cast of characters, Meadows, we're not going to see him anytime soon, it looks like, but Yandy Diaz and Ji-Man Choi, obviously this lineup looks a lot different without those guys there. They're making a lot of moves, trying to get guys playing time defensively in different spots, so you can follow along there with what they're trying to do with the versatility, and that all works. It was good to see Arozarena get a couple of hits, including, I believe, did he get a home run tonight? No, he didn't. I know he got a couple in the last game, so the power is certainly there for him right now. Joey Wendell is huge right now, knocks in a couple of hits and makes more good plays defensively. I mean, he's one of their closest hitters that's really played this season. That's close to 300. He's batting .285 with an on-base percentage of .339. So he's a guy that you're going to want. I don't know necessarily about leading off. They may do that. I don't know. I like him again as a leadoff hitter more than a guy like Yoshi, but I see him more as a guy. I like him batting ninth because I hate having the catcher spot. If Zunino's going to be an automatic out, I'd rather have him in the 8 spot, because if Wendell can get on as the 9 hitter, you can flip over to the top and let the big guys kind of do their thing. So that's where I would like to see Wendell. Adames getting another hit. He knocks in a run in that RBI single. Still chasing the slider. That's where he got the hit. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but he may be their answer at cleanup hitter. Who knows? He had a good playoffs last time around, so that could come into play in an interesting way. They make some pinch hits, and that's fine. So that's really it. They score some runs. Joe Girardi's management of the bullpen for the Phils has been bad. I mean, this is a game that they had to have, and just the way that the bullpen blew it. And I know Phillies fans, they feel the same way. So that's really all I have to say about that. When we come back, we'll take more of your raised calls if you want to make them at 877-566-1020. But if not, we'll talk about the next 2 days, preview those games against the Phillies, maybe talk about their potential matchup with the Blue Jays. We also have Lightning to discuss, as they're about 10 minutes away from a victory in Game 4, and also previewing the Bucs on Sunday and the rest of the NFL slate. Again, number to call during the break is 877-566-1020. We're going to give you some baseball scores, and we'll be right back. HBC. Most games in MLB tonight have already gone final in a doubleheader. It was the Giants who are fighting for a playoff spot, 5-4 over the Padres. The Indians, they've been red hot lately, 4-3 over the Pirates. The Marlins in 10, 4-3 over the New York Yankees. Obviously the Rays 6-4 over the Phillies. In game 1 of a doubleheader, the Diamondbacks 4-0 over the Rockies. The Blue Jays 10, Orioles 5. In a doubleheader game, it was the Brewers 3-0 over the Cardinals. That's big in the NL Central. Currently in Game 2 of the doubleheader, we have in the bottom of the second the Giants up 1-0 on the Padres. In a doubleheader game, the Diamondbacks 6-1 over the Rockies. Those teams are both out of it. In the top of the fourth, the Mariners and A's are scoreless. If the Athletics lose tonight, it will be the Rays clinching the top seed in the American League. In the top of the third, the Angels 3-1 over the Dodgers. Top of the seventh, in Game 2 of the doubleheader, the Cardinals 9-1 over the Brewers. So it looks like they're going to split that. Top of the seventh, in Minnesota, the Reds 4-2 over the Twins. In the eighth, Astros 3, Rangers 2. Also in the eighth, the Royals 3-2 over the Tigers. And a couple more here. After 7, the Cubs 8-0 over the White Sox, who are limping to the finish. And in the 10th, the Red Sox and Braves tied at 4. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:40, we're back on the William Haynes Show. During the break, we had someone, it was actually the caller that we had on earlier. He mentioned his playoff roster prediction, and I thought it made some sense. From the pitchers, he had them going with 13, which I could understand. The starters, obviously, Snell, Glasnow, Morton, and Yarbrough, so a four-man rotation. Occasionally, I guess that would entail maybe a guy going on short rest, but the Rays, are going to be creative about how they go about doing that. You have Fleming and Sleggers as long relief. It helps that you have one righty and one lefty as well to kind of maximize those matchups. And then just outright relievers from the right-handed side: Anderson, Fairbanks, Castillo, Curtis, and Drake. And he included just two lefties, Loop and Sheriff. I think if Jose Alvarado comes back in the mix, I think they would have to see him probably pitch on Saturday or Sunday. He's been throwing some sim games down at Port Charlotte, so he's going to have to get some game time if they're going to consider that. But he would be huge to have him from the left side. And so the position players, he had him going with 15. They could probably do less if they wanted to, but it's up to them. He has them going with three catchers, obviously Zunino, Perez, and Smith. That would help them. You can pinch hit for the catcher, twice in a game, so that would work to maybe maximize the offense, and having the larger bench allows them to do that as well. The corner infields, he has Choi and Yanni Diaz, so they would both have to be back, but I like that. Have Nate Lowe on the roster, Setsugo, who can play third base as well. If Choi and Diaz come back, I would probably leave Lowe off. I know he's been hitting well, but I would like to maybe get a handful of a couple other pitchers up as well. And then the middle infielders, Brandon Lau, Adames, Wendell, and Brasso. So that makes sense, the typical cast of characters there. And then the outfield, he went with just four, which I agree with: Kiermaier, Arozarena, Margot, and Renfroe, and that's obviously subject to change. I guess that Brett Phillips / Hunter Renfroe, kind of a game time decision, and they may stagger that series to series. So that works, I think. And they've got guys that can play a lot of positions, so that all is going to work for them. That there's a lot of different things that they can do. So I think they're going to be fine. I certainly look forward to it against the Blue Jays. A best of 3 at the Trop. That's not going to be easy, but it usually never is. And then if they make that again, they'll go to the best of 5 and then the best of 7 before potentially advancing to the World Series. So all good stuff there. And that's really all I've got right now for Rays stuff. If you have something that you want to mention or get on the air, get your thoughts out, 877-566-1020 is the number to call. Want to touch on the Lightning a little bit. That game is now tied up. It's gone back and forth. It's now 4-4 with about 7 minutes left to go in the third period. So, oh man, not another overtime game. But we'll have to see. For the Lightning, Braden Point struck in the first period. He also got a power play goal in the second. So how big has he been? Yanni Gourde getting a power play goal and the Alex Killorn goal that I told you about. And for the Stars, they're all even strength, no power play goals. So, and then you look at, let's see, the team stats, kind of how that's been shaken out. 29 shots for the Lightning compared to 24 the Stars. So a lot of that kind of stuff. And the Stars have had 6 penalty minutes, so I take that to be 3 power plays, and they're 0 for 3. And the Lightning 4 penalty minutes, 2 power plays, they're 2 for 2. So I don't know, maybe a penalty here late in the third period can end up making the difference. We'll keep our eyes on it. Also, for the Rays, previewing their games this weekend, just 2 left in the regular season. Tomorrow, it'll be Zach Wheeler of the Phils, the right-hander, going up against what is now John Curtis. It was originally slated to be a Ryan Yarbrough day, but he'll basically go behind the opener. Curtis could get you 1, maybe 2. He pitched 12 times tonight, getting the save. So hopefully it goes a little bit different than it did with Andrew Kitchers, as I mentioned earlier. But I guess it makes sense. There's going to be some top hitters at the top of that Phil's lineup. Zach Wheeler is 4-1 with a 2.67 ERA. He's been very good for them this year. John Curtis 3-0 with a 1.93 ERA. Zach Wheeler's last time out against the Nationals in a losing decision. It was actually his first loss of the season. He goes 5 2/3, 2 earned runs on 5 hits. Walks 3, strikes out 7, throws 113 pitches. So we could see him work pretty deep into the game depending on how things go. He's a guy that's gone 7 innings a handful of times, and he's a very good pitcher. That's the thing with the Phillies. They've given so much handed out so much big contracts. I mean, guys like Zach Wheeler, they bring in Didi Gregorius this offseason as well. Who can forget about the Bryce Harper contract? They pick up Brandon Workman and Heath Hembree from the Red Sox during the trade deadline. They're all in. And they could potentially find themselves missing out on the playoffs in a year where more teams make it than not. So, Philly fans really must be going through it right now. I know the Flyers lost in 7 to the Islanders. The Flyers that was, and obviously with the Phillies this year, the Eagles are 0-2. They are hosting the Bengals, so they may get back on the right track. But I'm getting off track myself. For Ryan Yarbrough, he's not starting, but it's pretty clear he'll be in bulk relief. His last time out goes 7 against the Orioles. 2 earned runs on 5 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, 100 pitches even. So I guess that means that, obviously he's fully stretched out. He can go deep against, a weaker lineup. I think against maybe a better lineup that won't have him behind an opener or whatever. He had a couple of rough starts against the Nationals, so it was good to see him get back on the right track against the Orioles. And who knows? That game, by the way, also is only going to be on Fox, so I don't know. That can't be a Joe Buck game because he's calling NFL on Sunday, but whatever their A crew is, Fox Sports Sun is getting blacked out, so they're not going to have it on there. So prime time at 7:07 for the Rays on Saturday night. Also, the Tampa Bay Lightning will be playing then as well. I will actually be watching the Florida State Seminoles take on the Miami Hurricanes. But we'll recap the Saturday and Sunday games on Monday, and that'll be the day. We'll be on Monday. Call it at maybe 9. Let's call it 9 p.m. Eastern time, even. So we'll preview the matchup. Whoever the Rays are playing, we pretty much know that it is going to be the Toronto Blue Jays at this point, and we'll talk Bucks and potentially maybe and somewhere in there we may have to fit in the Lightning Stanley Cup celebration. So who knows? That could be interesting. On Sunday for the Rays at 3:10, the first pitch, Aaron Nola for the Phillies right now, and for the Rays it's scheduled to be Josh Fleming. Of course, that could be behind an opener, subject to change, but it's Fleming's turn in the rotation, and really no one else that they'd end up going with. Aaron Nola, the Phillies ace, he's 5-4 with a 3.06 ERA. Josh Fleming 4-0 with a 3.42 earned run average. Aaron Nola's last time out went 6 innings in a loss at the Washington Nationals in a doubleheader 7-inning game. He gives up 3 earned runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, throws 94 pitches. I don't know that if they had clinched a playoff spot, they might have sidelined him because they would have wanted him to start game 1 of the best of 3. So even if the Phillies do make it, they are not looking good for that best of 3, and they may end up missing out on it entirely. And a note, I guess, before I forget it, the Rays tonight, if the Mariners beat the A's, it will clinch the number 1 seed, so there's nothing really they can do to improve their positioning. Go for 40 wins, I suppose, but whoever's in the lineup, they're going to get to see 2 really good starting pitchers in Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, both from the right-handed side as well. So heavy lefties, mixing in all kinds of guys. I don't know about lineup predictions because I'm not quite sure what's running through Cash's head, his thought process, but the whole cast of characters. Brandon Lau, who is off tonight, pinch hitting, he may be off on either Saturday or Sunday as well, but don't forget the Rays have an off day on Monday. They'll pretty much be able to get, especially with the starting pitching lined up exactly the way that they want it. And then for Josh Fleming, his last time out in relief at the New York Mets, gets a win in 3 innings, gives up an earned run on 3 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 32 pitches thrown. So his first 4 times out were all true starts, and he threw about 75 pitches each time, and then the last 2 came in relief. 3 2/3 against the Nats, 3 innings against the Mets, throws 54 and 32 pitches respectively. So that's where they see him in the postseason, throwing probably somewhere in the middle, about 40 pitches, getting 2 or 3 innings. So I don't know. He's looked good this year, but obviously he's not ready to start outright. He gives up a lot of hits to right-handers, so you want him kind of in the middle of the game. So that's really all I can give you for that game on Sunday. It will be on Fox Sports Sun and at 3:10, so that's all good there. And then to wrap up the show, maybe, I don't know how long it'll take us, 10, 15 minutes. You can still call in at 877-566-1020 if you want to talk Bucks, Rays, Lightning, whatever. We're here for you. On Thursday night for NFL, we have a game that's already been final that I forgot to discuss. It was the Dolphins 31-13 over the Jaguars. Both teams are now 1-2. I don't see either team going anywhere. For the Dolphins, I don't know, kind of a stopgap year in a way. I think they were kind of trying to bridge the gap between rebuilding and win now, signing some guys like Byron Jones and players like that. And then they keep Ryan Fitzpatrick to start at quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa not ready to go yet, so that team's going to look a little bit different when Tua is in the picture. And then the Jaguars, they started off 1-0, then they lose a tough game at Tennessee, and then now really getting crushed at home by the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. They're not well. They were the original, I guess, tank for Trevor team because they don't really have a long-term guy. They traded away Nick Foles. That didn't work out, and then Gardner Minshew, who I don't really believe is the guy of the future. So, they may win just enough games to not get the first overall pick. I think probably the Falcons will be in that discussion as well. But 2 teams that aren't really going anywhere. Starting for the Sunday slate at 1 p.m. in Atlanta, the 2-0 Bears travel to play the 0-2 Falcons. The Falcons open as 3-point home favorites. The over-under is 47.5. I mean, the Bears, they've really got lucky. They had that fourth quarter comeback against the Lions where they didn't look great for most of that game. And then a win against a really crummy Giants team. And then the Falcons. Matt Ryan, that offense is great. Matt Ryan through 2 games has already got over 700 yards thrown and 6 touchdowns. So I don't know, but it's a really bad defense. Dan Quinn, the defensive coach, they're going to move on from him because that Legion of Boom Seahawks model, the cover 3 stuff, it doesn't work anymore. This new age of all the RPOs and just what offenses are doing nowadays has kind of moved past that. So he'll be on his way out, if not somewhere during the course of the season. So I'm surprised to see the Falcons get 3 at home. Personally, I mean, you got to think the Bears are going to win. I would take the Bears +3. So maybe even if they lose by a couple, they're not a great team, are the Bears? I like their coach Matt Nagy. The defense is good. Nick Foles is probably going to be playing at some point this season, but they let Mitch Trubisky start outright because they want to make sure they know absolutely 100% what they have in him. But I'll take the Bears to advance to 3-0, and the Falcons, I mean, pretty much NFL teams, you're not coming back from 0-3, generally speaking. So, and then the Bears would be major players, I guess, in the NFC at 3-0. So that'll be fun to track. A really good game at 1 o'clock. The 2-0 Rams travel across the country to upstate New York to play the 2-0 Bills. Buffalo opens as a 2-point home favorite. The over-under is 46.5, as most of these games sit right around there. That's really a tough game to call. The Rams are a whole new team. They're back to their 2018 selves where they went to the Super Bowl. They had just a weird year last year, and they almost made the playoffs. With the extra wild card that was implemented this year, they would have been a playoff team anyway, and who knows. It just seems like without Todd Gurley, they're a lot more free to do more of the stuff that they like, and I've seen a lot of creative stuff every time I get the chance to watch them through 2 weeks. I know they were on Sunday night against Dallas in week 1, and that was a nice win for sure. For the Bills, they're 2-0, but they played some pretty crummy teams. It was the Jets in week 1 and the Dolphins in week 2. You can only beat the guys in front of you, but Josh Allen, he's a turnover machine, fumbles a lot, throws a lot of interceptions, but looks improved in some ways as well, makes some good throws and things like that. Good defense as well, so I'm really excited to see it. I would say it at home. I don't know. That's so tough to call. I would give the Bills the advantage on the cross-country road trip, and that would explain the -2, but I'm actually going to take the Rams as the underdog, +2. And I would take the over on 46.5, to be honest with you. And I missed out. Bears and Falcons over under at 47.5. I'll take the under on that. I think maybe the Bears hold the Falcons to, I don't know, maybe it was 21, 28 points, and I don't know what the Bears will do. So I'll take the under on that one and the over on the 46.5 for Rams and Bills. Also at 1 o'clock, this is a real stinker. The 1-1 Washington football team going to Cleveland to play the 1-1 Browns. Cleveland is a 7-point home favorite. The over-under is 45. I don't know. Washington, they only had to drive go more than 20 yards just once against Arizona last Sunday. They had that fluky 17-point comeback against the Eagles, but they don't have much in them. Offensive line that can't protect Dwayne Haskins. Just an all-around pretty bad offense. Not a lot of good receivers, and the defense not too great either. The Browns, an impressive week 1, first win on Thursday Night Football last week. I'll take a -7 to win by more than a touchdown, and I'd be inclined to take the under on the 45 personally. NFL, I always stay away from over-unders, but picks against the spread are a little bit easier to call. Also at 1 o'clock, the 2-0 Titans going up north to play the 0-2 Vikings. Tennessee is a 2.5-point road favorite. The over-under is 49. And to have the Vikings super, super rough start, I don't even really see them making the playoffs at this point. The 2-0 Titans have looked relatively good. They haven't played anybody, really. They had a road win at Denver and then hosted the Jaguars in week 2. So I don't know. I would, in a cornered animal game, so to speak, because teams that go 0-3 typically don't have a good shot at making the postseason. I'll give the Vikings the edge here. I mean, the Titans are fine. They're a 9-7 team just about every year. I have them out there, so it's hard to go 9-7 when you start as good as 3-0. So I'll take the Vikings in an upset pick +2.5, and then the over/under. I don't know. Again, those are all really coin flips. I'll probably take the under on that one as well. Also at 1 o'clock, the 2-0 Raiders cross country to New England to play the 1-1 Patriots. New England is a 5.5-point home favorite. The over/under is 47.5. Interesting game to call there. The Raiders with a nice win on Monday Night Football against the Saints last week. I like some of the things that they're doing with Derek Carr. John Gruden's been running the same offense since the late 90s, early 2000s. He's still rolling with it. Josh Jacobs, a great running back that they have at their disposal. Darren Waller, their great tight end. Bill Belichick, I know, is going to shut down. That's his motto, or his mantra, I guess. You just, shut down the number one target, make them beat you with some of the other guys. Henry Ruggs, their top pick, the receiver from Alabama, hasn't done much, so I would see him maybe getting some targets. Without Darren Waller, that's tough, because Derek Carr, he's looked good, I guess, this year. I don't think he's a great quarterback, though. But the run game will be there. A Patriots defense that hasn't shown a whole lot. And I'm sure a Raiders defense that's pretty bad. Cam Newton and company, especially at home, will be able to put some stuff together. I'm surprised I didn't get Sunday Night Football or something, to be honest with you. It's at 1 o'clock on CBS. That might be the Jim Nantz and Tony Romo game, though. Who knows? And just so you know, the Lightning and Stars have gone to overtime. The third period just ended tied at 4. So interested to see how that game will go. I'll be off the air when it comes back, most likely. So they're also playing tomorrow. So if they win tonight and tomorrow, they've got the Stanley Cup. So that, something certainly to cover. Back to NFL, though. At 1 o'clock, the 1-1 49ers return to the Meadowlands once again to play the 0-2 Giants. The Niners, seemingly all their good players went down. Nick Bosa, I believe it was, Solomon Thomas. I think DeForest Buckner is out as well. The quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, is out. They're going to be rolling with, Nick Mullins. So the Niners are a 3.5-point road favorite. Over-under is at 42. I don't see the Giants starting out 0-3. I don't think they're a good team, but I think the Niners are in a vulnerable spot. The Niners and the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era have won about 30% of the games when Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't start, and just so you know, about 80%. Well, yeah, of course, that's the way that the stats would go when he does start. So, that's a tough game to call. I'm going to take the Giants plus 3.5, and I don't know, that over-under, I guess give the over. Both, I guess, offenses that were supposed to be pretty decent. The Giants, they're going to be without Saquon Barkley the rest of the year. They signed Devonta Freeman, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Former Florida State running back. Also, at 1 o'clock, the 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals travel to Philly to play the 0-2 Eagles. So really, you want to talk cornered animal game. Both teams desperately trying to avoid 0-3. The Eagles, a 5-point home favorite, an over-under of 47. I'll probably take the over on the 47, and I don't know. I kind of like the Bengals in this one. Joey Burrow throwing, 61 times without an interception on Thursday Night Football. The Eagles have looked crummy without fans. They're still getting booed. I guess the guy running the soundboard hates the team too. I don't know. It's just a rough scene. Carson Wentz is off to a really bad start. Gave the game away in Week 1 and missed some crucial throws in their Week 2 loss. I've already kind of forgotten who they played in Week 2. I want to just check in on that matchup and see how they did. So, again, battle 0-2 teams. I'm going to take the Bengals plus 5, so maybe even losing by a field goal. Who knows? The Eagles got beat by the Rams in Week 2, 37-19. So, yeah, I'll take the Bengals in an upset pick. I'm going the underdogs pretty heavy here. Also at 1 o'clock, the Texans at 0-2 travel to Pittsburgh to play the 2-0 Steelers. Rough 3-game stretch to open the season for Houston. They started at Kansas City. They played the Ravens at home, and here they are in Pittsburgh. So basically the 3 best teams in the AFC. The Texans will have played by the end of Week 3. The Steelers are 4-point home favorites, which is generous for Houston, I think. And then an over-under of 45. Easy pick for me. Steelers -4. I'd imagine they'll win maybe by 7 or 10. And I'll take the over on the 45. Deshaun Watson will do some things, but I love that Steelers defense, and I don't love the offense right now, but Ben Roethlisberger in the twilight of his career doing some things as well. They almost lost to Drew Lock last week, so hard to say, but yeah, I'll take the Steelers -4. Moving to the afternoon slate. At 4:05, the 0-2 Jets travel to the 1-1 Colts. Indy, an 11.5-point favorite, and over-under of 44.5. So as far as I can see, that is the largest spread of any game this weekend. The Jets are probably the worst team in the NFL. They have no one to throw to right now. The receivers, Brashad Perriman is out, so it's just Kevin Hogan and Baxton Berrios, really practice squad level guys, to be honest with you. And a Colts team. They lost a weird game in week 1 to the Jags, but they came back in week 2 and had a nice win against the Vikings. So that's a tough spread, and spreads those big are usually hard to cover in the NFL, to be honest. But the Jets are bad, so give me Indy minus 11.5, and I'll take the over I'll take the over on the 45.5 points. Also at 4:05, the 0-2 Panthers play the 1-1 Chargers in Los Angeles. The Chargers a 6.5 point favorite, and over under 43.5. The Panthers, they've had 3 quarterback pressures through 2 weeks. They gave no fight against the Bucs, and the Chargers offense that's going to have Justin Herbert in a week of practice. He started in an emergency role last week because a really interesting story. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, I would check it out. Tyrod Taylor, who had a cracked rib, I guess, during practice or something like that, but it was a cracked rib. The team trainer punctured his lung, giving him a painkiller injection, and so he had to go to the hospital again with a punctured lung. You don't ever really see stuff like that. We're talking a situation where the Chargers are probably going to get sued, stuff like that. Obviously, for the reason I just said, he'll be the starter when he's healthy, because you can't let him lose his job over a punctured lung that was caused by a trainer. So that's just, you can't do that. But Justin Herbert, I think he's the better quarterback for him. Maybe not as careful with the football, but I think that's in a good way. I like his aggressiveness. I'm taking the Chargers at an easy pick, minus 6.5. Give me the over on the 43.5. A rookie quarterback, hey man, if he doesn't get pressure, that's easy for him. He was going up against Patrick Mahomes last week and almost beat him. So, and a really good defense as well that again shut down Kansas City. I think they had 9 points going into the fourth quarter, did the Chiefs against the Chargers. So that's an easy pick. In fact, I'm going to make it my lock of the week. I don't even know if I'm doing those officially, but give me the Chargers minus 6.5. We'll save the Bucs game for the end. At 4:25, the 0-2 Lions go into Arizona in the desert to play the 2-0 Cardinals. Arizona a 5.5 point favorite. The over/under is 55.5. The Lions, I believe, dating back to last year, they've lost 4 straight games where they've had a double-digit lead. I don't know if Matt Patricia is going to get fired midway through this season, but the Lions, not as good as many people thought. Their number one pick, I want to say Jeff Okudah, the cornerback from Ohio State. He's been struggling, and I guess he's going to be the guy that's supposed to cover DeAndre Hopkins. To him, I would say good luck with that. Kyler Murray looks great. I mean, I don't know about MVP conversation, but if he didn't get it, he definitely should have gotten Rookie of the Year last year. He's going to be a good NFL quarterback. It's got Cliff Kingsbury, doing the things that he's done with the Cardinals, and not to mention a defense that's pretty good as well. So I'll take the Cardinals minus 5.5, and I'll indulge in the over on the 55.5, which is pretty sizable as well. At 4:25, this is going to be the Joe Buck Troy Aikman game. I'm certain. The 1-1 Cowboys going out west to play the 2-0 Seahawks. The Seahawks a 5-point home favorite, an over/under of 57. The Cowboys really should have been 0-2, but the Falcons almost trying to lose in a comedy of errors. They blew multiple 20-point leads, I believe. I don't know. So we could have been potentially talking about the Cowboys starting 0-3, which would have been every NFL fan that doesn't live in Texas's dream. But I don't know. I like the Seahawks a lot. They're a good team. Russell Wilson is going to torch that defense. They're missing Leighton Vander Esch for, I believe, a collarbone issue or something like that. He's the heart of their defense. So I don't see what the Cowboys are going to do. There'll be a lot of points, though, because it's not a tremendous Seahawks defense. It looks like a lot different with Jamal Adams in it, and in a good way, but I don't know how much of a difference that really makes. I'll even take the over on the 57. It'll be a fun game, I think, for sure. I mean, we're talking, I don't know what, maybe 30 plus to 24, I don't know, in favor of the Seahawks. So I'll take the Seahawks minus 5 and the over on the 57. Sunday Night Football at 8:20 on NBC. The 2-0 Packers going down to the Big Easy to play the 1-1 Saints. New Orleans, wow, a 3-point home favorite, an over-under of 52.5. I'm going to just give it to you right now. I'm changing this. Well, no, I'll keep my lock of the week, which was, what did I make that? The Chargers minus 6.5 over the Panthers. Yeah, but I like this too. I mean, call it backup lock of the week. The Packers +3. Drew Brees isn't really that good anymore. Michael Thomas with a really rough start, and a Packers defense that is tremendous. I mean, the Packers are going to be probably one of the top seeds in the NFC once again this season. I don't care that it's in New Orleans. I don't think there's any fans there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Again, yeah, Drew Brees is going to have a rough time. They'll do some stuff with Taysom Hill, whatever, but yeah, I like the Packers a lot in that one, +3. I don't know. I would be inclined maybe to go under on the 52.5, but don't ever take any of my over-under picks. I did them for the AAF and XFL, and I actually had a pretty good record doing it, but don't let that fool you. Over-unders, especially in the NFL, just stay away from it. If anyone's listening that wants to gamble games, against the spread, it is easier. I like doing those a lot, and I do pretty good on those. So, one of my favorite bets, if I could make any, I would like the Packers +3 on Sunday Night Football against the Saints. One of the probably the last Aaron Rodgers v. Drew Brees meetings we'll see. I'm not sure how many times they've met anyway. Then on Monday night, I can't believe that, one, this game is this early in the season, and two, ESPN got it. This is usually a Sunday night, pretty much just a Sunday night game. NBC usually locks down those rights. But the 2-0 Chiefs going to the 2-0 Ravens, the home team, 3.5 point home favorite, and over under of 54.5. I would bang the over on that one. Two really good offenses. The Chiefs off to a little bit of a slow start, and that department I mentioned that the Chargers gave them some trouble. I don't know. I would be inclined to take the Chiefs +3.5, but I don't feel great about it. I know the Ravens are a good team. We all know the early playoff exit last year, but they're going to be another good regular season team. Lamar Jackson will do some damage. Two defenses that I like as well. Like Calais Campbell has added a new dimension to that Ravens defense. I mean, they're going to be able to win games with their defense now too. So a dangerous team, and the Chiefs defense I think has been pretty decent as well. But I'll if I haven't already said, I mean, Patrick Mahomes. Every day. I mean, you take them, especially plus the point. So I'll take the Chiefs +3.5, and that leaves us finally at 4:25 on Fox. The 1-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Denver to play the 0-2 Broncos. The Bucs now, the line has retreated in the favor of Tampa Bay -5.5, and over under of 43. Really rough week last Sunday for the Denver Broncos. In the first quarter, their starting quarterback, Drew Lock, goes down. He's going to be out for about 3 to 5 weeks. So in comes journeyman Jeff Driscoll, former Florida Gator, and looked okay. But with the Bucs defense, you better believe they are going to pressure him often and early, make him uncomfortable. They've got a tight end, Noah Fant, that can do some things, and I think the Bucs have struggled a little bit with that. At least in years past, I know it seems like they always get burnt with that stuff. The Broncos starting receiver, or number one guy, Cortland Sutton, is out with a torn ACL, but Jerry Jeudy, their first-round pick from wide receiver from Alabama, he is really good. So, I don't know. I haven't been impressed with the cornerbacks for the Bucs this year. That's probably the weakness of the team, to be perfectly honest with you. But an absolutely fantastic front seven, and if they have a first half like they did against Denver, one thing I would like to see the Bucs, the defense didn't finish. The second half was kind of rough, so if they stay aggressive with the play calling, and I know it's really hard for a team to just blitz all game, but that talk about how to beat Jeff Driscoll. There you go. So I'll take the Bucs -5.5. I'll probably that's a low over under really. I don't know. That's so tough. I mean, talking about coin flip, I'll be inclined to go over. I think, the Bucs offense could maybe score 30-plus points. I know the Broncos are a defensive-minded team. Von Miller's out, but I know they still have some good pass rushers, Bradley Chubb and all those guys. I don't know. Again, I'd see The Bucs offense maybe have their best game of the season, even on the road. They have Chris Godwin back. He was out with concussion protocol stuff. So really the first game this year that they've had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin completely healthy. So I would like to see how that goes. I don't think that the Broncos have the secondary to keep up with those guys. And, of course, they've got the tight ends that can do what they do. Gronkowski, maybe getting some red zone targets. He was only targeted once, and it was an interception for Brady. It was just an overthrow. O.J. Howard with a couple of drops. Bruce Arians, I guess, mentioned a stat where they had, 9 drops for 100-plus yards. So drop passes were a huge part of last week's game. I don't know. I saw Brady go on big third downs to Mike Evans, and that'll work about just about any team but the Saints, to be honest with you. It seems like Marshawn Lattimore is the only cornerback that has figured out how to cover Mike Evans. So I can't even name you the number one guy for the Broncos unless maybe Chris Harris Jr. is still there. So big game for the Bucs offense. I think the defense will have a field day with Jeff Driscoll as well. So the Bucs, in the pick side that I made, if the Saints lose and the Bucs win, we're talking first place in the NFC South, and how exciting is that going to be? I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but we're in a time potentially where the Lightning could win the Stanley Cup, the Rays could make a deep playoff run, if not win it all, and the Bucs, I mean, they're going to be a top playoff contender with Brady. I mean, I don't know, man. If all three teams won the championship in the same season, well, that would make 2020 not so bad. So, obviously, we hope for that. A good show tonight. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. We had a first-time caller. First time we've had that in a while, so that was pretty cool. And he had some good stuff. I liked his playoff roster predictions. Final weekend of the regular season for the Rays. A couple games against the Phillies. We'll see two good starters, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. Interesting to see how that's going to go. Remember, the Rays getting the primetime treatment tomorrow night on Fox, so make of that what you will. Also, the Lightning and Stars, that's 4-4 at the start of overtime. Hopefully that'll go in the other direction. The Bucs hopefully will win. We'll talk to you Monday.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.